Good morning. It is Monday morning, meaning it's time for some Motivational Monday. I'm Christopher Donnell, the pastor here at Urbana United Methodist Church, and so glad that you're joining in with us this week. Hopefully, you join in all the time, and this is a regular way you can stay connected to us, but also a way to, hopefully get some encouragement and some motivation as you start your week, whether you watch it on Monday or whether you don't. We are in we just finished our third week of our series called Do Unto Others. And it's this commitment to kindness during election season. And all that, although that might sound nice and fluffy and rainbows and butterflies, I think it's pretty important as we are in this final stretch of the election season for America, being it a national election where we vote for presidents and senators and Congress, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal for our country. I mean, we hear a lot of stuff being talked about on both sides of whatever news source you're watching. Hopefully, you listen to all the news sources so you get a good balanced feel for thing, and even do some investigation on a lot of these issues. But you're hearing almost the extreme, and it's getting a little bit more extreme in these final weeks as we hear the accusations from either the left or the right to the other side, and basically all the terrible things they're going to do if they get elected. And that might cause fear, that might cause anger, it might cause frustration. You might roll your eyes and go, wow, they're terrible. Or why would they ever say that? Or you might begin to go, well, what if that would be true and now I need to do something about it? And we don't know how it's all going to play out. Most presidential elections and claims beforehand are usually not lived up to. When we paint people as the worst people in the world and then they end up being pretty average, that happens a lot. The world keeps spinning. More than likely, it'll keep spinning. We've said this with each major presidential election for a long time, that if candidate X gets elected, then the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and if candidate Y gets elected, then it's the end of the world. And usually, I mean, so far we've all survived and made it, and we may not like policies, or we may see things happening around us in our communities or country that we don't like or agree with, and that's okay. I think we need to stand for what we believe in our convictions, and our convictions should come from Scripture. It should come from Christian community. It should come from the person, the King Jesus, and his invitation to grow and expand his kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven. And that's a big task when we have one foot in one part of the world and we have one foot in this other area, this spiritual, supernatural area. We have one in the physical and one in the spiritual, and that's a hard place to be. But it's not a place where the historically Christians have not been. They've always had one foot in and one foot out, and that's the call that we have. That's the mandate we have, is to live in both of those spaces. But ultimately, even when we're in both those spaces, to have our allegiance towards Jesus primarily. And I just pray that as you are, most of us already made up on who we're voting for. We already got that priority nailed down. I don't think anybody's going to convince somebody else to change their mind at this point. But as you go to vote, as you watch our country vote, pray that God would unite us in a way that is bigger than this partisan politics. Pray that God would move in our communities and churches, that he would capture our hearts once again, that it would not be whose hope, which candidate are we putting our hope in for the next 4 years. It would ultimately, we're putting our hope again in Jesus, whoever is elected. And this past weekend, Chris Jones gave a good word on Christian love and our call to love. And he used this scripture in John chapter 13, 34 through 35, this: "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." Now, that's pretty straightforward, cut and dry. People will know that we follow Jesus by the way we love them. And that's what this whole campaign for kindness has been about. It's been about yeah, go vote, go choose your sides, vote on your policies, vote on your issues. But at the end of the day, you still have to be a follower of Jesus. After November 5th and November 6th shows up, we still have to love our neighbors. Still have to be in our community. We still have to feed the poor, the hungry. We still have to invite those who feel spiritually homeless to come and participate and find Jesus here in this space. We still have to live our lives in such a way that is infectious for people, and they wonder what is different about us. So my motivation is make something different. Make it noticeably different about you as you go into these final weeks, and as you find yourselves at the local watering station at your office, or at the local school event, and politics come up. How will you act and talk in such a way that people don't only know your policies or your politics, but they know that your allegiance is to Jesus and His kingdom? That's the hard thing. And I invite you to pray and pray and pray, to find yourself humbled that God would allow us to be a part of His kingdom, allow us to be a part of this world in this day, in this age, when people are desperately looking for help and hope. And that is on you, and that is on me. So go this week in the way of love, knowing that Jesus has called you. He's prepared a way for you. Newsflash, He wins. We don't know who's going to win on November 5th, but we know who wins ultimately in our life and in the one to come. So go in that confidence to bring God's kingdom to earth as it is in heaven. God bless.